In that raging fire, I saved Zhou Shichu, but failed to rescue the love of his life. Outwardly calm, Zhou Shichu accepted the Mu family's support and married me, yet on our 5th wedding anniversary, he secretly orchestrated a car accident. He stared coldly at me lying in a pool of blood. How does it feel to wait for death? Now you'll know her despair. 1. The raging flames merged with the memory of that car crash. I stared blankly at Zhou Shichu's contorted teenage face as he shoved me away with bloodshot eyes. You vile woman, how could you be this cruel? You'd even sacrifice Suyu's life just to have me. The violent push sent me stumbling to the ground. Despite the swarm of bodyguards, I couldn't escape the licking flames. The expensive gown's hem burned through, searing both my skin and my already shattered heart. It's all coming back to me now. In that fire 10 years ago, I defied everyone's warnings and fought through the flames to rescue Zhou Shichu, who was trapped inside, but I couldn't save Suyu in time. Suyu died. Zhou Shichu secretly resented me for a decade without showing the slightest hint. He obeyed my every command and stayed by my side for 10 years, making me believe he truly loved me. Then on our 5th wedding anniversary, he meticulously orchestrated a car accident. I died, along with my 2-month-old unborn child, Zhou Shichu. Oh Zhou Shichu. I looked up at his face filled with hatred, feeling utterly desolate inside. Just how much must you hate me to meticulously scheme for 10 long years? You'd even go after the child between us. I waved the bodyguards aside and stared coldly at Zhou Shichu. Did I ever stop you from saving Suyu? Zhou Shichu froze, then glared at me viciously. You'd absolutely block me from saving Suyu. You're obsessed with me. You're dying for Suyu to perish, so the Mu family can adopt me. Song Qianyue. You're nothing but a... Before he could finish, I slapped him across the face. I shoved Zhou Shichu's admittedly handsome face aside, gripping his jaw to force his gaze toward the collapsed load-bearing wall. Your beloved's right there. Zhou, if you've got the balls, go save her yourself. Stop guilt-tripping others into doing your dirty work. As for adoption, I released Zhou's face, accepted the handkerchief from my bodyguard with visible disgust, wiped my hands, and tossed it aside. The Song family wouldn't take in trash even if we were swimming in gold. 2. The Songs are filthy rich, and my parents have hearts of gold. One of my 16th birthday gifts was sponsoring several underprivileged students in my name, but there's only one adoption slot available. Initially, my parents asked me to choose between Suyu and Zhou Shichu. Then I accidentally overheard Suyu saying, "Why does Zhou Shichu get all the good things? I want to be adopted by the Song family too. I deserve to be their heiress. What makes him so special? Is Song Qianyue blind to actually consider adopting him?" So to secure the sole adoption spot, Suyu started a fire to prevent me from adopting Zhou Shichu. The fire got out of control and ended up consuming them. Even after being reborn and saving Zhou Shichu, he still despises me. Let him reap what he sows. Without hesitation, I turned and walked away with my bodyguards. Zhou Shichu glared at my retreating back. Song Qianyue. If you don't save Suyu, I'll hate you forever. I curse you to die a miserable death. I never broke stride. Zhou Shichu, I hope you won't regret it when the truth comes out. 3. Saving Zhou Shichu left a nasty burn on my arm, a grotesque scar twisting like a centipede. The healing wound itched and ached under the scab, keeping me awake all night with the maddening discomfort. Yet for an entire month, Zhou Shichu never uttered a single word of concern. My mother wept bitterly. Qianyue. Is that boy really the only one for you? She looked at me with swollen, cautious eyes. I'm not forcing you, darling, but choose a man who truly cherishes you. Look what you've suffered saving him. Has he even visited you once? In my past life, I had constant fights with my mom over my crush on Zhou Shichu. Zhou always claimed my mother looked down on him and poisoned my mind against him. Like a lovesick fool, I believed him and even threatened suicide to force my mother's approval. Given this second chance, I hugged my mom in remorse. I'm sorry, Mom, I was wrong. I'll never care for Zhou Shichu again. Tears streamed down my mother's joyful face as she said, Qianyue, I still support your freedom to choose love. No, Mom, right now I just want to focus on my studies. After being reborn, I re-examined all the events of my past life. As the only daughter of the Song family, my parents constantly worried about me being left without support, which led them to consider adoption. They hoped this person would be grateful, honest, and reliable, someone they could trust to carry on after they're gone. But we all forgot. The only person you can truly count on in this world is yourself. So-called virtues like kindness, gratitude, responsibility, even a full decade of kindness, they'd stoop to any deception to achieve their ends. Wiping my mother's tears, I said, Mom, Zhou Shichu isn't young anymore. To avoid complications, let's redirect his funding to stray animals instead. Relieved by my change of heart, Mom agreed readily, whatever Chanue says, but I never expected Zhou Shichu would come knocking before I even suspended the funding. 4. The medical bill is 100,000 yuan, San Chanue, you're footing this. Being classmates with Zhou Shichu, he sought me out on the very first day of school. He stared down at me imperiously, his forehead swathed in layers of bandages. They say he managed to save Suyu's life in that fire, just as he'd hoped, but not her legs. She was left disabled. He drained his entire savings, yet still couldn't cover Suyu's medical bills, so naturally, he came straight to me. If you hadn't delayed the critical rescue window, Suyu wouldn't have been this badly injured. Gripping my desk with both hands, he spat through gritted teeth, San Chanue, why couldn't it have been you who ended up crippled? Making you pay the bills is letting you off easy. My hand trembled as I held the pen. In my past life when trapped in the car, I begged Zhou Shichu desperately for the sake of my unborn child. Through tears I asked him even without Suyu. We'd known each other since childhood, and he'd been receiving financial support from my father all along. Why would you do this to me? In the end, I mustered every last ounce of strength to crawl up and kowtow to him. I pleaded that I'd gladly give my life for Suyu, but begged him to spare the child in my womb, yet Zhou Shichu's expression remained frosty, devoid of any warmth. San Chanue, he said icily, I've often wondered, why wasn't it you who died that day? Someone as cruel and heartless as you, who'd watch others die without lifting a finger, is utterly unworthy of bearing my child. You deserve to burn in hell, and take your child with you. 5. It took me a long moment to keep from losing my mind. I looked up coldly at Zhou Shichu. I won't give you a single cent, don't forget, I saved your life. Who gave you the right to guilt-trip me? Zhou Shichu never expected this response. He grabbed my arm in fury. How can you be so heartless? Do you have any idea how much pain Suyu's enduring? She's still so young. Are you really going to let her become disabled? In the struggle, he yanked at my sleeve covering the scar, exposing the grotesque mark to the cold air. He suddenly sneered, San Chanue, you're just pathetic. At the end of the day, you're only targeting Suyu because you can't have me. Isn't that right? With those words, he mercilessly tore at my scabbed wound, watching indifferently as it bled anew. I won't let you succeed. I'll make sure you die as miserably as you did in your past life. 6. Boom, something exploded in my mind. The pain racked my entire being. So Zhou Shichu was reborn too. After 2 lifetimes, I still couldn't escape his baseless hatred. What exactly did I do wrong? What fault does my child have in this? All I ever did was love him once. Why must I bear the blame for everything? With sudden, desperate strength, I seized Zhou Shichu by the collar. So you remember how I died. You remember everything my San family did for you. You remember it all, yet still you do this. 2 lifetimes. Zhou Shichu, 2 lifetimes, what debt could I possibly owe you? By what right do you treat me this way? I could tear you apart with my bare hands. What have I ever done wrong? Even if I die, it's you who deserves hell. Suyu deserves hell. She got what was coming to her. Suyu was the one who started the fire. She brought this upon herself. Why pin the blame on me? In both past lives and this one, I've been fighting to save people. I was even afraid Zhou Shichu would never recover. So I hid the truth about the fire from him, and what happened? He's hated me for 2 lifetimes. Why? How dare you? Rage burned through my chest as I grabbed him wildly. Zhou Shichu, it's you who'll die a wretched death. Karma will get you all. 7. I completely cut off all financial support for Zhou Shichu. From now on, he's just a stranger to me. But I underestimated Zhou Shichu's determination for revenge. He rallied numerous journalists to push the orphanage fire incident to trending topics. The scandal spread like wildfire, with overwhelming public condemnation targeting the San family. How vile. Is this how the wealthy play with human lives? Oh my god. Just because people don't like her, she has to take revenge on everyone. What a vile creature. No wonder guys can't stand her. Such a malicious woman. She's the one who deserves to die. Apologize. The entire San family needs to apologize. Even Suyu was crying her heart out to the cameras. I don't know anything. I just wanted to study hard with Shichu and change my fate. How did things end up like this? My leg. What am I supposed to do now? In the footage, Zhou Shichu held Suyu protectively before turning to glare at the camera, his voice dripping with venom as he addressed me across the screen. San Chanue, no matter what tricks you pull, I'll never love you. You'll pay for what you've done. 8. As public outrage reached fever pitch, Suyu seized the moment to launch a crowdfunding campaign. Every donation to her came with a vicious note. For San Chanue's coffin, donate $10 and San Chanue dies 10 minutes sooner. That bitch San Chanue, $50 buys her a man in hell. Some even showed up at my dad's company, hurling rotten eggs at the entrance. My father had enough of the online abuse against me and decided to take legal action, but I told him not to interfere. This feud between Zhou Shichu and me won't be satisfying unless he uncovers the truth with his own hands. I clicked on the trending topic at the top of Weibo's hot search list. In the latest video, Suyu held Zhou Shichu's hand and said, "I don't hate Song Qianyue. I know Shichu is an exceptionally good man. I can't stop others from liking him, but Song Qianyue, after all these days, haven't you even offered me a single apology? I lost a leg because of you. Is it too much to ask for a simple apology?" The comments section was flooded with mentions demanding I apologize, Suyu added through tears. "I don't want donations. I just want Song Qianyue's sincere apology. Look at her, so aggrieved, so virtuous. The donation amount is skyrocketing. Tens of thousands of people are now hurling insults at me. After 3 days of chaos, it's time to end this farce." So I reposted the Weibo. At Suyue, "I'm apologizing to you, but are you even worthy of it?" 9. The clamor demanding my death grew deafening. Zhou Shichu wheeled Suyu in a wheelchair, accompanied by reporters, blocking my path to school to force an apology from me. Standing at the crowd center like some righteous crusader, he declared, "Song Qianyue, I'm giving you one final chance. Apologize to Suyu." Meanwhile, Suyu sat pitifully in her wheelchair with perfectly calculated exhaustion. "Song Qianyue," she said weakly, "I've realized I won't fear you anymore. Your family's wealth and power mean nothing. I've done no wrong. And I deserve this apology, but I want you to kneel and apologize." She looked up at me, her eyes gleaming with hidden triumph. I knew she hated me. She'd hated me long before discovering I was her benefactor. Because I'm wealthy, while she's just a scholarship student from a poor background. That's why she's practically gleeful at the thought of my downfall. Even her deliberate attempts to get close to Zhou Shichu were solely because she knew I liked him. Because that's the only thing she could ever best me at. Did she love Zhou Shichu? No, not in the slightest. The only person she ever truly loved was herself, otherwise she'd never have been cruel enough to set that fire, intent on burning Zhou Shichu alive. But Zhou Shichu never knew. I glanced between Zhou Shichu and Suyu. "Let me ask you one last time, was I really the one who crippled your leg?" 10. A flicker of guilt crossed Suyu's face before she quickly composed herself. Zhou Shichu grasped her hand. "Don't be afraid. She deserved to die." The crowd around them was seething with rage. Reporters swarmed with their cameras, eager to condemn me on the spot. Suyu found her courage again. Gripping the wheelchair armrests, she sneered, "Song Qianyue, kneel and beg for my forgiveness. I might just give you a chance to atone for your sins." Humph. My lips curled into a frosty smile. "You incorrigible wretch. I told you, you're unworthy of my apology." With a raised hand, my bodyguard handed me a small USB drive. Suyu stiffened at the sight, her grip on the wheelchair tightening involuntarily. I didn't look at her, nor did I glance at Zhou Shichu. Turning only to the most aggressive reporter, I asked, "Do you even know what the truth is?" The reporter was left speechless. I turned back, deliberately pausing to stare at Suyu for a few seconds before shifting my gaze to the mob that had been chasing me down. Some were even live streaming, practically shoving their cameras in my face. The barrage of hateful comments flooding the live chat was dizzying. You'd think I'd dug up and desecrated their ancestors' graves from the way they were acting. Clutching the tiny USB drive, I scanned the room and asked, "Do you all truly understand everything that happened before, during, and after the fire?" The room fell silent. They couldn't even meet my gaze. Their guilt was written all over them. They know nothing at all. Yet when public opinion flaps its wings, they swarm in like a mindless horde, waving the banner of justice. They crown themselves as righteous gods, pathetic and laughable. I glanced at Suyu without changing expression. A single casual look from me was enough to make her fidget. With a faint smile, I slowly handed the USB drive to the reporter. "Take a look. That fire back then was actually..." "No." Before I could finish, a heart-wrenching roar suddenly erupted. Suyu, who should have been sitting in her wheelchair, lunged forward like a madwoman and snatched the USB drive from my hand. The crowd stood frozen in shock. I curled my lips. "The show is officially on." 11. Suyu panted heavily, then looked around at everyone in panic as realization dawned. Her action was nothing short of a slap in the face to everyone present, especially to Zhou Shichu, who had defended her most fiercely. All along, Zhou Shichu had believed his beloved to be that pure, kind-hearted moonlight of his life, but the truth was, Suyu had deceived him, deceived them all. Yet before the reporters, Zhou Shichu said nothing, shielding Suyu as always. Chaos erupted in the scene. A crowd was pulling Suyu's hair, demanding their money back. Zhou Shichu shielded Suyu, his face and body covered in wounds, watching his humiliating state from afar. I could barely contain my glee. Just you wait, Zhou Shichu. When the whole truth comes out, I'll make sure you suffer just as much as I did. That's only fair. I clapped my hands. The bodyguard swiftly and professionally snatched the USB drive from Suyu's hands. With her battered face streaked with tears, Suyu pleaded with me, Qianyue, I don't need your apology anymore. I'll return all the money. For the sake of our school days together, can we just let this go? 12. I looked at her with a cold sneer. Zhou Shichu's face remained stormy throughout. Why beg her? There's nothing to be afraid of, right? What's there to fear anyway? Even if the fire scene footage gets leaked, Zhou Shichu would be the only one taking the blame. What's Suyu so afraid of? Obviously, she's terrified Zhou Shichu might learn the truth. I smiled at Suyu. The deeper my smile reached my eyes, the more panic washed over Suyu's face. But I won't let Zhou Shichu learn the truth so soon. I'll make him peel back the facade of his beloved moonlight with his own hands, layer by layer. See with your own eyes how revoltingly grotesque the flesh beneath the surface truly is. That's how you destroy someone both physically and psychologically. So indeed, the only thing on my flash drive was footage from the fire scene. The crowd erupted in shock and uproar after watching it. Song Qianyue literally saved someone. Why is she still being blamed? Holy shit, it wasn't Song Qianyue's fault at all. She even rescued Zhou Shichu. Unbelievable. The full video shows the truth. If you want to be a hero, do it yourself. Stop guilt-tripping the young lady. I'm sorry Song Qianyue. I was wrong to lash out at you. My bad. Damn that Suyu. Refund me. As the video progressed, Zhou Shichu's expression grew increasingly grim. A reporter shoved a camera in his face. Zhou Shichu, Song Qianyue saved your life, yet instead of gratitude, you demanded an apology from them. How dare you? Zhou Shichu pressed his lips together in silence. Suyu secretly let out a sigh of relief. She was secretly studying my expression. I bet she was wondering whether I actually knew the truth. If I did, I would have revealed it by now. So she was taking a gamble too, gambling that I know nothing, betting I have no proof. After all, she had to hold on to at least one thing, either the Song family's support or Zhou Shichu, the only person who truly cared for her. Given the current situation, there's absolutely no chance of her receiving our Song family's sponsorship again. So after weighing her options, she took Zhou Shichu's hand again and turned on the waterworks for the cameras with her usual act. I'm sorry, I just couldn't bear to see Shichu struggle like this. That's why I did it. Shichu and I share the same fate, orphaned with no one to rely on. Yet some people throw their weight around just because they're wealthy. Her gaze shrank back as she looked at me, like someone who'd suffered unbearable injustice, mustering all her courage to confront me. I can't just stand by and watch Shichu lose his freedom because of others. Song Qianyue, Shichu truly doesn't like you. I'm begging you. Stop using your money to force him to go with you. Okay. 13. TCH. True love indeed. Just a few words from them can sway public opinion. Somehow all the blame seems to have landed back on me. These days, wealth itself is treated as a sin, yet I clearly remember how she came sobbing to my father's secretary, begging for his financial support. How did it end up looking like we were the ones pressuring them? But I still underestimated how much Zhou Shichu loved Suyu. Instead of blaming her for the fraud, Zhou Shichu shielded her and said, I'm sorry, this is my fault. He bowed deeply to the camera. I'll return every penny. But as for Song Qianyue, he looked up at me with those same icy, indifferent eyes, as if I were the root of all evil. I'll uncover the truth behind the fire, he said, and make sure you rot in jail. That's hilarious. I laughed till tears streamed down my face. So he finally got around to investigating the fire. What a revelation. In the end, they still instinctively blamed me. The more I laughed, the more Suyu trembled. She clutched Zhou Shichu's arm tightly. Maybe we should just drop it. Song Qianyue is terrible. We can't stoop to her level. But what exactly have I done wrong? My downfall was being lovesick, foolish enough to believe Zhou Shichu ever cared for me. My smile vanished as my gaze turned icy. Zhou Shichu, you've got 1 month. Fail to uncover the truth, and I'll have you jailed for defamation. 14. Free from media scrutiny. I threw myself into my studies, to quell public outrage. Suyu returned all the money, losing the Song family's financial support in the process. Orphaned and alone, Zhou Shichu became her sole remaining lifeline. She clung to Zhou Shichu daily, terrified someone might steal him away. Now also cut off from the Song family's patronage, Zhou had to support Suyu while juggling work and studies. That once brilliant golden boy Zhou Shichu has fallen so low he's working at a bar now. My close friends kept coming to me with embellished stories about him, laughing. Pathetic. After years of living off the Song family's charity, he actually started believing he was some young master. Now he's serving drinks but still too proud to toast with customers. Hey, Song Qianyue, you should have seen it. That song heir who's been chasing you through a wad of cash on the floor and made Joe pick it up. The look on his face was priceless, absolutely delicious. My friend nudged me. "Wanna go to the bar tonight and see his miserable act for yourself?" I shook my head, packing my bag. "Not interested." Then she added, "Don't bother telling me about Joe Shirchu's affairs from now on. I couldn't care less about anyone, let alone watching Joe Shirchu's downfall. I just want to focus on myself and work on my own growth." With that, I grabbed my clutch and walked out. There stood a familiar figure at the doorway. After days apart, Zhou Shirchu looked noticeably haggard, blocking the classroom entrance with a cold smirk. He said, "Song Qianyue, don't flatter yourself thinking I owe you gratitude." I frowned, words still unspoken. He pressed on, feeling guilty now, afraid I'll uncover the truth. "That's why you're defending me. Let me make this clear, I won't fall for your tricks. You rich people are all equally disgusting." 15. Oh. So that's the real reason for the hatred, across 2 lifetimes. I've kept wondering, what exactly did I do to deserve Zhou Shirchu treating me this way? Now we finally have the answer. I looked up at him. "Zhou Shirchu, did I ever force you to accept the Song family's sponsorship?" Zhou Shirchu's expression remained unchanged. "I know you have feelings for me. If I refused your financial support, you'd make things difficult for Suyu, wouldn't you? Just like how your so-called friends here have been harassing me." The moment he finished speaking, my friends couldn't hold back their curses. What the hell? Is this guy insane? If it weren't for that news report, we wouldn't even know who Suyu was, let alone that Song Qianyue had been quietly funding her. Who'd waste time on someone like him anyway? Exactly. It's just a drink. Isn't that part of his job? If we're talking about going too far, sure. The Song family heir had a thing for Song Qianyue and might have crossed a line, but was it anywhere near as bad as what he did? If that video hadn't surfaced, wasn't he basically trying to drive Qianyue to ruin? Right on. Did it bruise his fragile ego? Then he should have refused the funding outright. How can you take the money and still play the victim? The more they spoke, the darker Zhou Shirchu's expression became. "Song Qianyue, they're all your people, of course they'd take your side. Then see for yourself," I said, deliberately raising my voice as the approaching figure drew nearer. "You keep blaming me for everything. Where's your proof? Seeing is believing, isn't it?" Zhou Shirchu tried to speak again but was interrupted. The distant figure had finally reached us. Suyu clung tightly to Zhou Shirchu. "Shirchu, we agreed not to come here. Why did you?" She shrank back, avoiding my gaze, clutching Zhou Shirchu's arm as she pulled him away. "Let's not fight them. We're no match for these rich bastards," my friend finally snapped, rolling up his sleeves to throw a punch. "Damn it, who the hell is this two-faced bitch? I can't stand listening to this crap. What unspeakable crime did we even commit to make them hate me this much?" I reached out to stop my friend, staring at Suyu's retreating figure. "Did you really think no one would find out?" 16. Suyu's back suddenly stiffened, her body beginning to tremble again. Zhou Shirchu protectively shielded her, turning to glare at me. "Song Qianyue, if you've got something to say it to me." I let out a cold laugh, though my eyes held no trace of amusement. I closed in on Suyu step by step. "If you're truly scared, you'd have crossed the street to avoid us, begging for mercy while still spewing that vile garbage. What? You get all the benefits while the rest of us dance to your tune." Suyu trembled like a leaf. I don't know what you're talking about." She tugged at Zhou Shirchu's arm. "Shirchu, let's go. We shouldn't provoke them." Zhou Shirchu glared at me with veins bulging on his hands. "Song Qianyue, I've already reported this to the police. The truth will come out soon." I remained motionless, slightly raising an eyebrow. "Oh, so you actually went to the police?" My gaze shifted back to Suyu. This time she couldn't maintain her facade any longer, her face turning deathly pale as she stared at Zhou Shirchu. "Why would you report this to the police?" Her eyes reddened with panic as she desperately tried to flee. Zhou Shirchu mistook her fear for me and pulled her into a protective embrace. "Ayue," he said tenderly, "I promised I'd keep you safe. No one will ever hurt you again." Then he shot me an icy glare, repeating through clenched teeth, "No one." I stared blankly at his face. "Zhou Shirchu, what do you even see in Suyu? She's kinder than you, even when broke. She'd secretly slip me breakfast while protecting my dignity." "Song Qianyue, you'll never understand. This is the love I crave, tender care that shields my pride, not your condescending charity." Zhou Shirchu screamed hysterically. "That's why I'd give everything for her, even if it takes a decade in the shadows." But Zhou Shirchu, wasn't Suyu's kindness funded by my Song family all along? Would my charity of love extend to handing over the entire Song family to you? But I said nothing. Only uttering, "Zhou Shirchu, let the police uncover the truth tonight." Zhou Shirchu froze. Suyu was terrified out of her mind, struggling frantically against him. "Zhou Shirchu," I said, drop it. Are you deaf?" I don't want to pursue this anymore, yet Zhou Shichu remained eerily calm, gazing at her steadily. This doesn't count, Ayue. He sacrificed everything, even using his own child as a pawn for revenge. How could this possibly count? He gritted his teeth at me. Fine, tonight it is. 17. We don't even have to wait till tonight. I bet Suyu will be the first to lose it. Zhou Shichu's been borrowing money to contact journalists just to take me down. He's going to expose everything and ruin my reputation for good. I waited with perfect composure. My friends stood by my side, watching Zhou Shichu's actions with utter bewilderment. Doesn't he know what kind of person Qianyue is? She'd never stoop to such despicable means to win someone over. The school auditorium blazed with light as Zhou Shichu descended into complete paranoia. Song Qianyue is exactly that kind of person. She's behind everything. She tried to kill Suyu to steal me away. She must have started this fire. Perhaps thinking this way could ease his mind about all the past and present sufferings, but I couldn't care less anymore. I quietly memorized English vocabulary while waiting for Zhou Shichu to obtain the truth from the police. Time ticked away minute by minute. Suyu grew increasingly restless, especially as more reporters gathered around. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead as she clutched Zhou Shichu's hand. Is the truth really that important? I told you to drop this. Why can't you just let it go? Zhou Shichu's eyes were bloodshot as he scanned the crowd before locking onto Suyu. His voice came out hoarse. Ayue, don't be afraid of Song Qianyue. She'll get what's coming to her. Just then, an officer in uniform walked in, holding a document in hand. I happened to finish memorizing the last word and closed my vocabulary book, turning to Zhou Shichu. All right then, let's see what kind of retribution I supposedly deserve. 18. Camera lights flickered incessantly. Zhou Shichu advanced step by step toward the officers, while Suyu trailed behind him with deathly pallor on her face. Finally, she snapped, with sudden, inexplicable strength. She grabbed a dagger and pressed it against her own throat. Suyu glared viciously at Zhou Shichu. Zhou Shichu, if you dare open that file, I'll kill myself right in front of you. A muffled thunderclap exploded outside. June weather always brought these sudden downpours. If memory serves, it was pouring rain that day of the accident too. I begged Zhou Shichu through tears for what felt like forever. As Suyu spoke, Zhou Shichu's hand rested on the police file, yet he didn't move. I stood and approached him. What's wrong? Afraid to look. 19. The truth worth 2 lifetimes and every sacrifice to uncover. It's right before your eyes. Why are you afraid to look? Ignoring Suyu's breakdown, I stepped up to Zhou Shichu. Weren't you going to send me to prison? Open it. Zhou Shichu, the Pandora's box is in your hands. Open it, and you'll get everything you desire. But Zhou Shichu didn't move. He feared he might unleash the very demon he dreaded most. His Adam's apple bobbed, perhaps remembering the past, perhaps not. He turned to Suyu, his voice quivering. Why won't you let me see? Clang, the knife clattered to the floor, its metallic ring piercing the silent auditorium. Though spoken softly, those accusatory words shattered Suyu completely. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. Enough. Zhou Shichu, it was me, all me. I started that fire to steal your adoption spot. I confess, I surrender. Boom, a muffled thunderclap outside the window flashed again, illuminating Zhou Shichu's ghostly pale face. The entire room stood frozen in stunned silence. This beats scamming people out of money any day. I sneered coldly. Suyu continued her hysterical rampage. Zhou Shichu's legs went weak, as if struck by a sudden thought. He whirled around to stare at me. His lips parted, but no words came out in the end. I said flatly, all right, wrap it up. The crowd gradually dispersed, and even the so-called police officers handed the documents to me with deference. Suyu stared at me, her eyes widening bit by bit. I opened the document folder right in front of her. See, there's nothing in here. Oh, by the way, the officer here is actually my bodyguard. Suyu, thank you for being so forthcoming. 3 seconds of silence. The auditorium erupted with a heart-wrenching scream. You bitch, you played me. 20. If Zhou Shichu had doubted his own eyes before, now he was absolutely certain. Suyu had deceived him utterly and cruelly. He stood in front of me, just as he had shielded Suyu countless times before. The sharp dagger mercilessly plunged into his chest, crimson blood dripping heavily onto the ground. The remaining crowd erupted into screams. Suyu completely broke down this time. No, I never meant to hurt you. She covered her face and wailed uncontrollably. How could this happen? How could this happen? Her unfocused eyes finally locked onto me. Brimming with torrents of hatred, she yanked the dagger from Zhou Shichu's chest and lunged at me again. It's all your fault, Song Qianyue. You deliberately made me jealous of Zhou Shichu. You made me believe the Song family would adopt me if he were gone. Song Qianyue, you're the real monster here. That orphanage fire should have burned you to ashes. as she charged at me in another frenzied attack. The officers nearby swiftly restrained her this time. The farce finally came to an end. Zhou Shichu lay in a pool of blood, just like that car crash from years ago, only now, it was me looking down at him from above. He reached out weakly toward me, his face contorted with endless regret, and I became exactly what he used to be. His face remained expressionless. Is this what you wanted? Zhou Shichu stayed silent, his bloodless face growing paler by the second, head bowed. He unexpectedly shed a tear and asked in the faintest whisper, "Were you really pregnant on our 5th anniversary?" My breath caught in my throat. This relationship ended up in tatters, and the most innocent victim was that child. But, I looked down at Zhou Shichu with the same indifference he once showed me. You wasted 2 lifetimes, and now you put on this pitiful act of remorse. Who are you trying to fool? 21, still. I crouched down, mercilessly tearing at his wounds just as he had once done to me. Zhou Shichu, I won't let you die that easily, but I won't let you rot in prison either. Watching his face contort in agony, I sneered, death or imprisonment would be letting you off too easy. Every suffering in this world is more excruciating than either of those. Wiping my bloodied hands on his clothes in disgust, I hissed, your stubbornness will be your ruin. I want you to live, to truly live. With this endless regret and torment, watching Song Qianyue flourish in happiness, I stood up, but Zhou Shichu grabbed my pant leg. He looked at me with the last glimmer of hope in his eyes. Qianyue, you hate me so much. Why did you save me after being reborn? Speaking of that, I couldn't hold back and kicked him. You idiot. I just got the timing wrong with my rebirth. Had I returned any earlier, I'd have never saved you. You deserve to rot together with your beloved. Side story, Zhou Shichu's perspective. When I opened my eyes, it was pitch black outside with a steady drizzle falling. I remembered how even in such light rain, there was someone who couldn't bear to see me get wet. That person, I broke their heart completely. I must atone for my sins. I always thought it was Suyu who treated me well, but in the end I realized all those quiet kindnesses, those open acts of goodness, they all came from Qianyu. Suyu was just going through the motions, like the breakfast secretly left in my desk. I've lost the person who treated me best. Any regrets? Deeply regret it. Yet I begged Qianyu to look back at me, but she said, Zhou Shichu, you don't regret losing me at all. What you truly regret is that without my Song family, you're nothing. How does it feel to struggle in the mud? Must be painful to fall from grace and watch those beneath you move ahead, isn't it? After all, my Song family genuinely invested in nurturing you, not just as my fiancé, but as a talent in your own right. But what about you? What have you done? Zhou Shichu, you disgust me. I froze for a moment before stammering, no, Qianyue, I truly know I was wrong. No, you were wrong. About what exactly? By then, Qianyue had blossomed into someone even more beautiful and accomplished. I heard she won first place in the physics competition again. She's like the sun in the sky, blazing bright, impossible to resist drawing near. Even when she scolds me, it sounds melodious. Clutching my chronic chest injury, I coughed violently as she continued, Zhou Shichu, when will someone like you ever learn? When you're alive but no one cares, when flowers and applause, glory and wealth have all abandoned you, when neither love nor hope remains. That's when you'll finally realize your mistake. If given another chance to become the real young Master Zhou again, to return to when my family supported you, would you still recognize your wrongdoing? Back then you'd probably think, it was just a minor mistake. I merely lost the most genuine love. Otherwise, how could you keep claiming your love for Suyu was pure? Do you even remember who Suyu is now? You don't love anyone. You just want everything. Hypocritical and disgusting. I coughed violently, watching helplessly as Qianyue drifted further away. She didn't even glance back at me, and the gap between us kept widening. Without the Song family's support, the stab wound Suyu gave me never properly healed. Everyone said I got what I deserved. To repay Suyu, I had to drop out of school and start working. But I never left Qianyu. Every place I worked, I'd send her a portion of my earnings. I kept thinking these payments would eventually settle the debt. That maybe Qianyue's resentment toward me would fade. Then Qianyue got married. She looked radiant at the wedding, while I stood there holding a tray, watching her from afar. Children were running and playing around me. In a daze, I reached out to steady a particularly rowdy kid. Then I looked up at Qianyue. The longer I stared, the angrier I grew. The man she married was exceptional, already successful in his career and destined to become an industry titan. But, wasn't that my past self? No, Qianyu. Why did you abandon me? I threw down the plate in my hands and rushed forward like a madman, but Qianyu's bodyguard stopped me. I'd forgotten. I'm no longer that privileged Zhou Shichu who lived off the Song family's patronage. I have nothing left. The only reason I got into Qianyue's wedding was because I was working there. watching Changyue, a dull ache spread through my chest. I think I've truly lost her. Suyu came to see me. She's broke again, I don't know how she dares show her face to me. She paid the price for what she did. That orphanage fire landed her in prison for years. After coming out, she was nothing like the gentle and caring person she used to be. She became ugly, extreme, and disgusting. How could someone like her ever deserve me? But how dare she? She came to ask me for money, then suddenly went berserk when she saw Chanyue's giant posters lining the street. Chanyue's breaking into new markets as an industry leader, invited by top shows. With promotional banners covering the entire block, Suyu viciously tore at those posters, completely defacing my beloved Chanyue campaign. I lost my temper. It was the first time I hit her. I was consumed with hatred. Suyu, why didn't that fire burn you to death back then? Suyu's having another episode. She frequents all sorts of seedy, low-life places, but none of that concerns me. I secretly stashed away Qianyu's poster. Rumors say Qianyu got divorced. I'm over the moon. She must be waiting for me. She must be. I was so excited I rushed to find Qianyu without even packing my things, but that man, the one who drove me mad with jealousy, actually dared to hug Qianyu. I was absolutely furious, so he got beaten up again. Turns out, it wasn't a divorce. Qianyu is going abroad to study. Her husband supports her decision. But, Qianyue is mine. I'm drifting further away from her. Beyond the reach of physical distance. Another decade passed, just as Qianyue said. I'm barely clinging to life by a thread, yet I still keep watch over Qianyue. I believe redemption will come in time. Her hatred means Qianyue still remembers me, so I follow her. Time may fly and youth may fade, yet she remains as radiant and accomplished as ever. She never confines herself. At just the right age, she was blessed with an utterly delightful daughter. The child, I stood transfixed, watching her small figure disappear into the distance. Qianyue and that man took her for a walk. Warm and beautiful, but, this was my past. Why are you doing this to me? I think I finally understand what remorse feels like. A car is coming down the road. I rushed toward that child without a second thought. I must save her. Just like I should have saved that child I doomed back then. I will save her, no matter what. But, that man shielded the child perfectly as the car slowly drove past. I was the one who scared the child into crying. The man comforted the child while giving me a pitying look. Qianyue approached gently. What happened? Why is the baby crying? The man said. Some homeless guy suddenly rushed over. Poor soul. Probably starving. Qianyue turned her gaze toward me upon hearing this. She finally looked my way, overjoyed yet flustered. I scrambled up from the ground, but Qianyue merely glanced at me. A completely unfamiliar glance. She turned and hugged the child. Sweetheart, do you see? We must work hard in the future to ensure even homeless people like this can have a place to call home. I waved away the bodyguards between us and stared coldly at Zhou Shichu. Did I ever stop you from saving Suyu? Zhou, impossible. Song Qianyue, look at me. I'm not homeless. I'm not like those ordinary people. I'm Zhou Shichu. I used to have beautiful moments too. Why won't you look back at me? Have you forgotten me? I reached out excitedly towards Qianyue, only to be stopped by that man. Frowning with a mix of helplessness and affection, he said, Qianyue, you shouldn't always be this kind. Some kindness is unnecessary. He seems mentally unstable. Let's take him to the police station. No, I won't go to the police station. I panicked suddenly. I can't let Qianyue see me like this. I turned and ran back, limping badly. I journeyed through layers of time, watching the years slip further away from me. At last, the tears came. All that was beautiful has truly left me behind. What exactly have I lost? The rain pours outside the window as I grow old alone, with no one left to ask after me. Zhou Shichu, are you cold? The end. Story 2. My brother is the Buddhist insider of J City's elite circle. His Cheongsam girlfriend cried and said I bullied her, in order to get back at her. My brother forcibly shaved my head and forced me to kneel before the Buddha to atone. I was taken away and tortured, and he just watched from the side, natural-born troublemaker, reaping what you sow, until I went insane, my body covered in sores, and died in the hospital. I then realized that I was the villainous second female lead in a noble family sweet romance novel. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 3 years ago, the day I had my head shaved. My brother was holding a pair of scissors, his face cold. "Een, you have to pay the price for your mistakes." I grabbed the scissors directly and aimed it at his throat, laughed. "Yes, brother, when you make a mistake, you have to pay the price." On the 59th day in the hospital, my body emitted an extremely terrifying smell. Outside the hospital room, several nurses were discussing the hot topic on social media. The Buddhist insider of J City's elite circle Lu Zhuanzhou's century wedding banquet with the popular star Lin Bailu. I heard that Lu Zong is completely smitten with Lin Bailu, even giving her the Buddhist beads he never left his side since he was 18. Is the person lying in the hospital room not Lu Zong's sister? Shu, speak quietly. I heard she did a lot of bad things, even not recognizing her own brother. Lu Zong specifically ordered that only her life needs to be kept. No painkillers at all. My whole body was rotting, and I was extremely clear-minded from the pain. That night, under my brother's arrangement, the people who once bullied me pushed the hospital room door with malicious smiles. Miss Lu, we have many interesting videos with you. Want to watch them? I was so scared that my mind completely broke down. Staggering and rushing off the bed, I fell from the window. When I opened my eyes again, when a familiar voice, filled with tears and accusation, rang out, Lu Huanzhou, how could you say you could protect me? Don't you know that your sister was the main perpetrator of the school bullying against me? The pain of near death still lingered in my body. The scene in front of me suddenly changed from dark to bright. The next moment, I saw Lin Bailu in a light blue cheongsam a few steps away. That pair of eyes, filled with tears, only looked at my brother for a second, then cast a cold gaze upon me. Lu Xuyin, come and apologize. Past memories surged up, like glass fragments piercing into the brain, bringing sharp pain. I pressed my temples, forcing out 3 words from my throat. Why? 2. Lin Bailu laughed mockingly. I already guessed you wouldn't apologize. After all, which murderer would admit to killing someone? I looked up and stared at her. You have paranoia. Why don't you just admit it? Who killed anyone? You're still jumping around here, aren't you? Your cheongsam isn't cheap. Why pretend to be a poor but virtuous girl? The more I spoke, the more angry Lin Bailu's expression became. It's as if I really had bullied her. Lu Huanzhou looked at her, his eyes flickering with a faint sense of sorrow. As in the previous life, he held the scissors and stepped toward me, bullying classmates in school, and still refusing to admit it. He said coldly, "Yin, you have to pay the price for your mistakes. I will torture you, and you can atone for your sins before the Buddha." He looked down at me from above. I thought about the previous life, and that's how he destroyed my hair that I had grown for several years. That month, he forcibly locked me in the temple, and Lin Bailu took away my most important role, and with that role, she won the Best Actress award. Later, I was released, but due to the so-called bullying Black History, with hair that looked like a dog had chewed it, sticking to my head, mocked by the entire network, under Lu Huanzhou's instruction. My resources were gradually taken away by Lin Bailu. With no way out, I had no choice but to seek out an investor I had known before, but I was drunk and taken away at a banquet, tortured and abused in a basement for 15 days. When those people took me away, Lu Huanzhou was watching from the side. He was twirling his Buddhist beads, expressionless, a born bad seed, reaping what he sowed. Thinking about this, a cold chill suddenly shot up from the base of my spine. I suddenly grabbed the scissors from Lu Huanzhou's hand, pointing the sharp tip at his throat, pulling up the corners of his lips. Yes, older brother, if you do something wrong, you have to pay the price. The sharp blade of the cold light was less than 10 centimeters from his throat. Lu Huanzhou suddenly frowned. Lu Xuyin, it seems your parents have spoiled you. I gave you a chance, but you wouldn't admit your mistake. Don't blame me for not considering sibling feelings anymore. I coldly laughed. It's not like you're just getting worked up over a woman, believing whatever she says. Don't talk so nicely. I didn't do it, so I didn't do it. He interrupted me without expression. Lu Xuyin, if it weren't for me, do you think you, this female star, are anything at all? 3. Saying that, he left with Lin Bailu. That very night when they left, I received a call from my agent. She was panicking on the phone. Xuyin, did you fight with your brother? All the endorsements we have suddenly want to terminate the contracts, and the movie that director Lan had promised last month is also going to give the female lead role to that Lin Bailu. Why would siblings get to this point? You should go and apologize to Lu Zong and say a few soft words. It's no use. I exhaled softly, interrupting her. Lu Huanzhou is no longer my brother. As I said that, a sudden wave of bitterness and pain swept over my heart. In my previous life, I never knew why Lu Huanzhou changed. In his 18th year, he went to Nanhua Temple in the suburbs of the city. After returning, he had a string of prayer beads on his wrist. He became extremely cold and distant. The older brother who once loved me dearly simply disappeared. I tried to act cute and ask him for pocket money, but he twisted the prayer beads and looked at me coldly. Buddha said, one should not have excessive desires. He no longer played and joked with me. He no longer drove me around for fun. He no longer came with his friends to help me regain my dignity after I lost a fight. Even without any evidence, he believed Lin Bailu's words and condemned me to death. The answer to this question only came after I died in my previous life. It turned out, The world I lived in was a luxury love story novel called Don't Convert for Her. And I was the villainous second female lead in the book, because I had repeatedly bullied and harassed the female lead. Lin Bai Lu, I was sent to hell by my older brother who doted on his wife. 4. I told my agent, don't worry, I'll figure it out. Then I picked up the scissors again, I checked myself in the mirror and then slashed my shoulder fiercely. The flesh tore open, curled, and warm blood splattered on the mirror. I was in such severe pain that my whole body was convulsing. And I could hardly make a sound. After the intense pain subsided a bit, I calmly took photos of the wound and the blood-stained clothes. Then I sent the photos to my parents who were on vacation. My brother went crazy. He attacked me with a knife for his girlfriend. Don't contact him first. I'm afraid he might attack me again. My parents replied almost immediately, treat the wound first. We'll come back tomorrow. I obediently replied okay, and then had the driver take me to the hospital. While leaving the examination room after having my wound bandaged, I suddenly bumped into someone. Who is it? Don't you have eyes? Lu Xuyin. The man in front of me had a face that was extremely aggressive, with eyebrows and eyes that exuded a cold, sharp, and defiant intensity. His gaze was sharp as he looked over. Seeing the blood seeping through the gauze on my shoulder, his expression suddenly changed. How did you get hurt? Who did this? Shiyu. We were neighbors before. And he was also one of Lu Huanzhou's best friends. The two of them once helped me fight. Until he was 18, Lu Huanzhou believed in Buddhism, and he always had a string of prayer beads with him. Shiyu thought he was an idiot and had a falling out with him. Later, the two of them became bitter rivals in business. In order to trouble Lu Huanzhou, Shiyu always opposed him. He really took away a lot of projects, so in the original book, he became the main antagonist later on. Almost killing the female lead, I stared at his young and rebellious face, and a sudden thought flashed through my mind. In this world, it's not only Lin Bai Lu who can twist the truth and act. Thinking about this, I slightly lowered my head, revealing my pale and fragile neck hidden by my hair. Then my eyes became red, and tears fell one after another. It's my brother. My brother is going to kill me. By the time I said the last 3 words, my voice was choked and unclear. Because I secretly exerted force on my arm, the wound bled even more vigorously. Shiryu was staring at me, as if the blood-red color soaked in the gauze had hurt his eyes. What did you say? 5. The parking lot near the hospital. I got into Shiryu's Maybach, took off my mask, turned my head to look at him, and said in a low voice, thank you, mister. Sure. He tapped the steering wheel with his fingers, and upon hearing this, let out a sigh. So polite. What? Did I have a falling out with your brother? And all the favors I did for you before are gone. I'm not saying that. Sure you uncle. I leaned over to fasten my seatbelt, and the movement pulled at the wound on my shoulder, making me shudder from the pain. The next second, my breath was suddenly filled with the overwhelming scent of absinthe. Shiyu leaned forward and quickly fastened my seatbelt. Our arms touched as he moved. His higher body temperature transmitted through the thin fabric of our clothes, and I instinctively pulled back a bit. His voice immediately sounded in my ear. Don't move if you're hurt, okay? He tapped the steering wheel. Where to? I don't know. I just don't want to go home. I'm afraid my brother will come back. He always believes whatever his girlfriend says. I was originally acting to gain sympathy, but halfway through, I remembered my past life. The half a month I spent locked in a dark and windowless basement, a purgatory of the human world. When they came to the ward with those videos, I jumped from the window, feeling the pain of my bones being shattered, so the second half of the sentence truly carried a deep, bone-chilling fear. He really will kill me. Shiyu heard the tremble in my voice. His originally sharp gaze swept over me, but for a moment, it softened like dissolving mist. He paused for a moment, then reached out, placing his hand over my cold wrist, and squeezed it. I'm here. He won't, Lu Xuyin, believe me. 6. He started the car and drove towards his house. The rest of the journey, no one spoke. I huddled in the passenger seat, getting drowsy from the rising effects of the medicine. In a daze, I even dreamed of when I was 14. I got into a fight to stand up for a girl who was being extorted for protection money. I came home with a bruised face and wanted to ask my older brother to take revenge for me, but I ran into Shiryu instead. Lu Huanzhou asked me to tell you he's staying at school for rehearsal today. He was hunched over his jacket, his eyes as cold as ice. It's fine. Taking revenge or finding a place to settle things is the same for anyone, compared to Lu Huanzhou, who was always quiet and loved reading books, delving into financial knowledge since a young age. Shiyu was like a defiant little wolf. All the people around his age were made to submit to him. He casually picked up a baseball bat and found those hooligans in the smoky billiard room. Bro, lend me a light. 2 cigarettes touched, lit. and then were forcefully pressed against the man's face. With the man's scream, he laughed, then threw away the cigarette. But, sorry, my sister doesn't like me smoking. I watched Shiyu holding that baseball bat, beating those people until they were covered in bruises and ran away in panic. Then he went out and found me by the window in the corridor. I got you revenge. He raised an eyebrow. How is it, Shiyu brother? Is he more reliable than your own brother? Later, Lu Huanzhou came back from school and heard about this. He looked at Shiyu with a calm expression. Only people with simple minds and strong bodies think about solving problems with force. Shiyu didn't get angry. He just smiled and turned to look at me. Inin, Lu Huanzhou is being rude to you. It's very unfair. Lu Huanzhou let out a light laugh. How could my sister be the same as some people? Saying that, he closed his computer and stood up. This isn't over yet. You don't need to worry about the rest. A few days later, he used some methods to send those hooligans to jail. I opened my eyes and felt a bit of moisture at the corner of my eye. I looked around and found the car parked in front of Shiyu's building. He was no longer in the car. I slightly turned my gaze and saw him leaning against the car, as if smoking a cigarette. Shiyu Sr. I opened the car door and called out, my voice a bit hoarse. Shiyu turned around and extinguished the cigarette in his hand. You're awake. What did you dream about? I exhaled slowly and looked straight into his eyes. I had a dream about the year I was 14, when you fought for me. The excuse was that my sister didn't like me smoking. He suddenly froze. His ears gradually turned a noticeable shade of red. I don't have an older brother anymore, Shiyu. Would you still treat me like a younger sister? Saying that, I gently tugged at his sleeve. I slightly tilted my head up. I presented my face in the most pitiful and vulnerable way possible to him. I am a trained actor, and I have full confidence in my acting skills. However, Shiyu just stared at me. A moment later, his eyes, which were usually a bit carefree, showed an inexplicably dark emotion. I felt uneasy, wondering if my acting wasn't good enough and he had seen through my pretense of being pitiful. He suddenly spoke. Of course, I let out a sigh of relief and followed Shiyu to his house. After walking a few steps, he suddenly stopped. He slightly turned his head. His gaze seemed to fall on my face, yet also appeared to be lost in the distant lights. He said, if one day, you don't want to be my little sister anymore, that's okay too. 7. That night, I slept in the guest room of Shiyu's house. I am not unfamiliar with this place, because when he bought this house and decided on the renovation style, he asked for my and my brother's opinions. At that time, Lu Huanzhou hadn't become a fanatic who never lets go of his Buddhist beads. He was reading the company's financial report from last quarter, and said calmly, what does your house renovation have to do with my sister? Whenever it comes to something about me, my brother and Shiyu can't stand each other. Shiyu is used to it, and he doesn't get angry, just lazily laughed. It has to do with it. This bedroom is for Inin to live in. Of course it has to be done according to her preferences. So this bedroom, floral wallpaper, cream-colored wardrobe, it's exactly the style I liked when I was 15. Unfortunately, the house wasn't finished decorating. Lu Huanzhou went to Nangua Temple, and after coming back, everything changed. 2 months later, he broke up with Shiyu. I never came here again. Now, lying in the bedroom filled with a faint orange scent, even though the wound on my shoulder was still painfully tearing, I still fell into deep sleep with the rising drowsiness. 8. The next day, my parents came back. They called me immediately, telling me to go home with Lu Huanzhou. I'll go in with you. When we arrived home, Shiyu didn't leave, but instead got out of the car with me. Lu Huanzhou is a fool right now. I'll go with you for your safety. As soon as I entered, I saw Lu Huanzhou sitting on the sofa. He was dressed in a suit, and his expressionless face looked surprisingly serious. Lin Bailu was sitting next to him, still in a cheongsam with snowflake and pear blossom embroidery, her eyes slightly red. I've heard everything Lu Huanzhou said about yesterday, my father said. He said he just wanted to give you a lesson and didn't actually hurt you. My tears immediately fell down. Sobbing, I said, I already guessed he wouldn't admit it. After all, which murderer would admit to killing someone? Lu Huanzhou was turning his prayer beads in his hands, looking at me with a cold and sharp gaze. Lying through your teeth, you really are a bad person. TCH, Shiyu suddenly took a step forward, blocking my way. Lu Huanzhou, you idiot, you've been turning that broken beads for 7 years. Is that how the Buddha would let you say your own sister? I don't have such a sister. Enough. My father suddenly spoke, interrupting us. Are you trying to make a fool of yourself in front of outsiders? Don't you feel ashamed? When he said this, his sharp eyes swept over Shiyu and Lin Bailu sitting on the sofa. There was a flicker of dissatisfaction in his eyes. Huanzhou, even if Inin was once unreasonable and bullied you, your brother, it's not a reason for you to take a knife to your own sister. I instinctively tried to argue. I didn't bully and Eneen. My father looked at me again, his tone unyielding. Your brother wasn't intentional. I'll have him apologize to you and transfer the villa at Rose Mountain to your name. Siblings fighting, if it gets out, won't be good for any of you. This matter ends here. 9. In the original story, Lu Huanzhou sent me into hell for Lin Bailu. He initially kept it a secret from the family, until I died. He could no longer keep it hidden. Then he fabricated a bunch of baseless charges against me. He said I was promiscuous, got into too much trouble, and was approached by someone, which scared me into jumping off the building. My father believed him. Later, he died from a heart attack due to his opposition to his marriage with Lin Bailu. Even my mother was confined at home by him. His actions were called severe measures, a satisfying outcome. Readers said he was originally a compassionate monk, yet he was willing to fall into darkness for Lin Bailu, which was too fascinating. Their glorious love bloomed on my flesh and blood. I expected my father wouldn't believe Lu Huanzhou, because in his eyes, I have always been delicate. Even a small scrape on my wrist would make me cry. There would be no determination to cut oneself, but I didn't expect, even if I stabbed myself, the punishment it could bring to Lu Huanzhou would only be this little. The wound on my shoulder was still aching slightly. I looked at my father, feeling cold all over. I opened my mouth but couldn't say anything. Uncle, you're handling this matter really fairly. Shiyu suddenly took my hand that was hanging at my side. The scorching temperature was transmitted over, inheriting from his father. I suppose Lu Huanzhou also learned from you. My father said coldly, what concerns the Lu family is none of your business. Sure family, Shiyu tilted his head and let out a cold smile. Is that so? Unfortunately, I was born with a habit of meddling. Some justice you can't get back, only I can help her get it. After saying that, he turned around and gently pulled my hand. Eneen, let's go. We walked to the door side by side. Suddenly, behind us came Lin Bailu's cold and stubborn voice. Is Mr. Sure really going to take the side of someone who was bullied at school? Bullying. He stopped walking, slightly turned his head, and suddenly smiled. Even if my sister did bully you, it's your own fault. Got it. 10. I really didn't bully her. Thinking about the female protagonist's aura, I was afraid that sure you would believe Lin Bailu's words. Getting into the car, I nervously said, I don't even know her. Mr. Sure you, believe me. Sure you suddenly turned around and looked at me. No, you do know her. Do you forget, Eneen, that year when you had your 12th birthday party and invited all the girls in the class to your house, except one? I tried to recall, and gradually I began to remember. Are you talking about that girl? Lin Bailu, Shiyu nodded. At that time, I came late because I wanted to buy the chestnut cake you liked. I saw a girl lingering outside your house. I asked her why she didn't go in, and she cried, saying she didn't have your invitation. Maybe she thought you invited all the classmates, but not her, so you were isolating and bullying her. I suddenly didn't know what to say. I did invite her. She herself said she had to help her grandmother with housework and couldn't come. I guess there are people in this world who are good at blaming others for everything. She's always innocent, he said, ruffling my hair. Then he coughed, covering his slightly red earlobe, and started the car. Don't worry, I'm here. 11. It was just like my past life's memories. While Lu Huanzhou was unrelenting in giving resources to Lin Bailu, he was secretly sending people to deal with me. The black materials about my school bullying spread online and hit the hot search list. Is that true? Isn't she the daughter of the Lu family? The daughter of the family would be the one who bullies people. It said she's Lu Huanzhou's sister. Wow. How could the Buddhist insider of J-City's elite circle have such a cruel sister? It said that she was the one who bullied and isolated Lin Bailu before. My reputation has plummeted, and several endorsements and film roles that were once a certainty have now turned to Lin Bailu instead. Fortunately, because my father had warned him, Lu Huanzhou didn't dare to go too far. Shiyu first secured a contract worth hundreds of millions for him, then handed over the high-end jewelry under Shiyu's company for me to endorse. The nun is too idle. I'll find him something to do, he said, and handed me a document. These are the lists of the online marketers who spread the rumor about you bullying in school. Have your agent find a lawyer and sue them one by one. I rubbed my reddening eyes. Thank you, Shiyu. I don't know what I would have done without you. He looked at me intently. After a long silence, he sighed barely perceptibly. Then he said, also, about the female lead of 10 Dreams, 9 Piece. Lu Huanzhou invested 40 million and intended to assign that role to his girlfriend, so I added another 40 million to give the director a fair chance to audition for you. 12. At the end of the month, I saw Lin Bailu and Lu Huanzhou again at the audition for 10 Dreams, 9 Piece. Lin Bailu looked at me with disgust. Lu Huanzhou grabbed my wrist and pulled me to the stairwell at the end of the corridor. Lu Xuyin. I'm giving you one last chance. He looked down at me with a superior expression, apologize publicly to Bai Lu, give up this audition, and go to the Buddha to confess and atone, otherwise, don't blame me for not being a brother anymore. He didn't hold back at all, and my wrist ached as if my bones were breaking, yet I still looked up and smiled, saying, Lu Huanzhou, what brotherly feelings do we have, even you know your Cheongsam girlfriend is just a vase. In terms of fair competition, she could never beat me. Lu Huanzhou lowered his face, you're too full of yourself. I locked eyes with him, then let's try. 10 Dreams. 9 Piece is a female lead drama. It's about how the female lead, from a dying beggar in a temple, gradually rises to become the empress. In my previous life, those days before I died, the TV in the hospital room played this movie. Lin Bai's portrayal of the empress always had a cold and stubborn aura. No matter what situation she was in, unyielding, unrelenting, never yielding. But it shouldn't be like this. She should lower her head, apologize, and act pitiful, using all the resources around her. A general's success is built upon the bones of 10,000 soldiers. That position has always been full of difficulties and dangers. She should not have walked up there with her back straight. It should have been a position she crawled to, covered in blood. I have always had confidence in my professional level. That is also my biggest reliance. 13. After the audition, I sat in the limousine. My agent asked me, how did it go? I smiled and said, I'm almost certain. As for acting skills, Lin Bailu will never catch up with me even if she works for 10 more years. I took out my phone to share this news with Shiyu, but he never answered my call. 3 days later, the audition results were out. They finally decided on Lin Bailu as the cast. I couldn't believe it and wanted to go to the banquet to ask the director for an explanation, but when I got to I saw a familiar Maybach from afar. Somebody opened the car door and stepped out with a long leg wrapped in trousers. It was Shiyu. He was dressed in a suit, which was rare for him. I caught up with him, wanting to tell him not to look for the director anymore, that I would handle the rest. I wanted to apologize to him, saying that his 40 million had been in vain, but when I reached the door, I was about to push it open. A voice came from inside. Sure you is here. He lazily replied. And a second later, suddenly laughed out loud. Lu Huanzhou, I'm not saying this. Your sister is really easy to fool. 14. I stood outside in shock. It was as if someone had fired a shot from the void, hitting me in the chest. A wind passed through the wound of blood-stained flesh, tearing out a sharp pain. I forgot how I walked down the stairs, how I got back into the car and called my agent, telling her, I think I'll pass on this role. Better luck next time. When I came to my senses, the car was already parked in front of Shiyu's building, under a dim street lamp. I don't know how long I had been waiting, but I finally saw the familiar silver-blue Maybach again. The car stopped very close to me. Shiyu got out of the car, came over, opened the door, and sat in the passenger seat. What's wrong with you, Enin? Why aren't you asleep so late? I turned to him and said, the audition results are out. They chose Lin Bailu, not me. He looked at me with red eyes. Next script. I'll help you again. Will you trick me again for the next script? I suddenly spoke up and cut him off. Actually, I wanted to just knock on the door and go in, but I was scared. I was afraid there would be people I couldn't deal with at the banquet, and you and Lu Huanzhou would just watch as they took me away. Thinking about all the days I've been acting pitiful in front of you, how did you secretly laugh at me? I even wanted to block you, to avoid humiliating myself. But I still came here because I wanted to hear you say it yourself, even if it was extremely painful. Sure you never believed in my words from the beginning, did you? He looked at me, and his emotions were like surging waves, rising and receding one after another. In the end, only a dark and solemn silence remained. He said, yes, 15, sure enough. I closed my eyes, filled with sudden shame and embarrassment. I spoke in a hoarse voice, I'm sorry, it's my fault to want to use you. Before he could finish speaking, Shiyu interrupted, no, you wanted to use me, that's good, he said, suddenly smiling. I never believed a word you said, because I never thought that pitiful look was really you. You should be reckless, brave, fearless, fighting with 7 or 8 people, then coming back to me to help you regain your dignity. You often cry, loudly, without restraint, never holding my sleeve and asking me if I'm willing to take you as my little sister. I stared blankly at him, listening to him list them one by one, the real me from childhood to now. My vision became blurred, a look of panic suddenly appeared on Shiyu's face. He reached out and wiped my eyelid with his fingertip. Don't cry, Enin, I was wrong. I should have told you directly. Oh my god, it's all Lu Huanzhou's fault, that idiot. Since he was 18, his mind has been abnormal. Did you hear what I said to him? I grabbed his sleeve to wipe my tears. Yes, I heard you say to him, Lu Huanzhou, your sister is so easy to fool. It was acting. I was acting. Sure, you said without thinking. I set up a scheme with someone. My role is now Lin Bailu. But when the filming reaches the halfway point, the truth will come out. And Lu Huanzhou will be in trouble. Her role will then be gone. Yining, I won't let anyone take your things away. My tears messed up the cuff of his custom-made suit. Sure, you just watched with indulgence. His usually sharp and severe eyes were now filled with complete tenderness. I suddenly realized that 8 years had passed. During these 8 years, because of Lu Huanzhou, I rarely met Shiryu, therefore, I hadn't noticed. The impulsive and rebellious teenager had grown into a mature man who had tempered his sharp edges. The heart in my chest started to beat faster. I sniffed, and spoke in a hoarse voice. Then you should have told me. You haven't contacted me for these days. Shiryu gently raised his hand, paused for a moment, and then brushed my slightly messy hair. Because it's dangerous. If Lu Huanzhou notices anything unusual, it would be me who gets into trouble. I must make him believe that I don't like you, and even hate you. I'm not a professionally trained actor. My acting is not good. Hearing your voice, I might not be able to keep up the act. Our eyes met, and I suddenly realized something. If it's so dangerous, why are you still helping me? Before he could finish speaking, was blocked by the soft and hot lips. Shiryu kissed me with lingering and passionate movements, his lips and tongue slowly grazing the limited space of my breath. So much that my nostrils were filled with his aggressive absinthe perfume. Do you feel it? Because I like you, Yining. I've never considered you as my sister. If it wasn't for Lu Huanzhou stopping me, I would have confessed my feelings to you when I was 17, 16, in a bedroom filled with citrus fragrance. Shiryu held the hairdryer and patted the spot in front of him. Come here, I'll dry your hair. I waited for him to use a slightly awkward action to dry my hair halfway. Turn off the hairdryer. In the suddenly quiet environment, I felt a thickening of intimacy, quietly wrapping around us. Shiryu, I turned my body, looked up, and looked at him seriously. I have a question for you. What? If one day I really die in Lu Huanzhou's hands, will you avenge me? His eyes were like a frozen lake in winter, looking at me like that, frozen, then broken by the lights and the surging emotions. After a moment, he asked me, Yining, are you knowing something I don't know? I told Shiryu everything that happened in my previous life. The ultimate pain, even to this day, has turned into nightmares that repeatedly appear at night. I can't sleep. I urgently need an emotional outlet. The days I was locked in the basement, I couldn't tell if it was day or night, so I just counted second by second. I thought I would die there. In fact, it would have been better if I had died there, rather than lingering in the hospital bed. Feeling every part of my body rot away so clearly, when they rushed into the hospital room with those videos, I really hated Lu Huanzhou. I hated him so much that if he had been in front of me then, I would have torn his flesh apart with my teeth. Even after my death, it didn't end. Those videos were released, because I was drugged. They all said I was enjoying it, that I had actively played along with everything. I got to the end. My voice trembled violently. And I couldn't continue speaking. Then I was pulled into a warm embrace. Don't say any more. I curled up in his arms, closed my eyes, and murmured, yes, Lu Huanzhou didn't cut me. It was me who made the cut. But even with such a harsh act, it was only enough for him to apologize to me. My acting was clearly better than Lin Bailu's, but the role still belonged to her. The power of the original story was so irresistible. The protagonist's aura so strong, no matter what I did. I could never escape the predetermined ending. My arms held me tighter and tighter, Shiryu's voice trembling as he said, I'm sorry, Yining, it's my fault. I should have come to help you sooner. Actually, it's nothing. My mind was hazy, and even though I hadn't drunk any alcohol, my consciousness felt uncontrollable. I'm telling you all this not because I trust you. Who knows if the things you said to me were part of your plan. It's okay, I recorded every time we met. If you lie to me, I will send these recordings to Lu Huanzhou, and we'll all be in trouble. I lifted my eyes, and in my blurred vision, it was Shiryu's red eyes. It's my fault for not doing well enough to make you fully trust me. He reached out and touched my forehead. You're feverish, Yining, rest first. 17. That night, I had another dream. The dream seemed to be a scene from a past life. Shiryu became the main villain. And in the original story's climax, he kidnapped Lin Bailu. He was sailing on a yacht. And he had bombs tied all over Lin Bailu. Lu Huanzhou, guess, when I press the switch, will your fiancé be blown into pieces? Lu Huanzhou's face turned pale. What do you want? Come at me. Lu is afraid of pain. Don't do this to her. Shiryu, no matter what, We were once friends. Then Yu suddenly laughed like a madman. She's afraid of pain. She's more afraid of pain than your so-called virtuous fiancé. Why won't you let her go? Let's die together, Lin Bailu. At that time, it had been a very long time since I died, so Lu Huanzhou didn't even realize who he was talking about. Just as Yu lost control of his emotions, he signaled the sniper beside him to aim. Bang! The bullet hit the center of his forehead. 18. I finally remembered. In the original text of Not Returning for Her, Yu opposed Lu Huanzhou at all costs because his lover was killed by him. The reason for abducting Lin Bailu was also because he was at his wit's end and couldn't compete with the male lead. But he still wanted him to experience the pain of losing a beloved person. In my memory, Yu's personality was not exactly warm or friendly. He had almost no close female friends around him. The only exception was me. But that was all before I was 18, 19. I hurriedly got out of bed, barefoot stepping on the cold floor, and walked through the whole living room. The study door was slightly open, and there was still a light on inside. When I opened the door, Yu was on the phone. Yes. The contract will follow the standard format in the industry. His voice seemed to carry a smile, but his eyes were cold. Miss Lin is my brother's girlfriend. How could she be taken advantage of? As he spoke, his fingers idly played with a butterfly knife. The rotating blade reflected the light, revealing a cold, sharp gleam. Okay, let Lu Huanzhou not worry. I know what I'm doing. He hung up the phone and clicked it shut with a sound. When he looked up and saw me standing at the door, slightly out of breath, he suddenly froze. Enin, why aren't you wearing? He didn't finish speaking, and I rushed over, throwing myself into his arms. The wound on my shoulder had not fully healed, but it was just a shallow scar. I collided with his chest, feeling a slight pain. That bit of pain reminded me that I was still alive. I hadn't perished and vanished into the void after that tragic fall in my previous life. After my rebirth, even if everything replayed, my parents favored Lu Huanzhou. I was not as helpless as a floating piece of wood. Yu, hold on to me tightly. He obediently wrapped his arms around my waist, not letting me fall. I raised my head and urgently searched for his lips, then kissed them fiercely on. This kiss was hasty and brutal, more like the primal biting of animals. I even tasted a faint trace of blood. Yu did not resist, allowing and submitting to all my outbursts. In the end, I pulled his tie and brushed against his rapidly moving Adam's apple. Panting heavily, I called out to him, brother, oh my God. He inhaled sharply, his body leaning back, and said through gritted teeth, Enin, don't play like this. I don't want to. Why don't you want to? I cut him off and moved closer little by little. But I do want to, Yu. I want to be sure that you still love me. 20. The sky was bright outside. The sunlight about to enter the room was blocked by thick curtains. A sliver of pale gold slipped through the moving gap and fell on Yu's sharp jawline. As he moved, the light spot swayed back and forth. I also rubbed against his cheek like a puppy, nibbling. In a certain moment, he closed his eyes and said in a voice almost begging, You, relax. Yonko, Oni-san, I said. I still want to be your sister. It's like this now. Sister. It was strange, as if it had been an extremely intense moment of pleasure. I didn't remember the nightmares from the basement in my past life again. Maybe it was the clean and pure scent of absinthe on Yu, which only made me think of the lush, verdant fields in spring. 21. 10 Dreams. 9 Piece started filming smoothly, just like in my past life. Lu Huanzhou spent money to create enough momentum for Lin Bailu. Reuters, hot search. And the Buddhist insider of J-City's elite circle and the love story of the Qipao beauty. Each one is enough for strangers and fans to talk about for a long time. Yu opened his phone and showed it to me. The first topic on the hot search, #Xianpin. In the video, Lin Bailu was wearing a pure white Qipao, standing under a tree. A shower of pear blossoms fell from the tree. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and caught a handful of pear blossoms in her hand, scattering them over herself. Then she started to dance gracefully. The camera pulled back, and a few steps away, Lu Huanzhou was staring at her, his eyes full of deep affection. He was wearing a black haute couture suit, with a string of prayer beads on his wrist. The comments section was full of, great, perfect, bring the civil affairs office here. I want to see them get married right now. Yu raised an eyebrow. 10 seconds, 20 moves, each carefully designed. I wonder if 17-year-old Lu Huanzhou saw himself doing this now. What would he think? I remained silent for a long time, and asked him, You say, is my older brother still alive? Even if I were to live again, I still don't know. The current Lu Huanzhou, is he truly someone else, forced by the plot? Even my soul and spirit have been replaced. If my soul was really replaced, is the original me still alive? Actually, I had already noticed something was wrong a long time ago, Shiyu said. Because the original Lu Huanzhou, after knowing that I like you, repeatedly warned me not to tell you my feelings. The traffic outside the window was silent. I seemed to be taken back to the summer 8 years ago by his words. 18-year-old Lu Huanzhou and Shiyu were standing face to face. Lu Huanzhou spoke in a calm tone. My sister is still young, and I don't want her to be swept up by the feelings of growing up together before she understands anything. Confusing what is love and what is illusion. If you truly like her, wait a few more years, and then tell her when she's older. At this point, Shiyu paused for a moment, but I didn't wait for it. The second month, he went to Nangua Temple, and when he came back, he was like he had been bewitched. When we gathered, a useless guy got drunk and made fun of you. If it had been before, Lu Huanzhou would have fought him already. I punched that guy, but he stopped me instead, he said. It's just a joke. The Buddha said to forgive, and also said that we shouldn't create karmic obstacles for someone unimportant. I said Enin is your sister, he said. What if she is? She's just a flesh and blood person, an illusion. He laughed mockingly. I don't know whether it was Lu Huanzhou or another stranger. In any case, if he himself knew, he would have wanted to commit suicide on the spot. After all, he would never allow anyone to hurt you, let alone himself. 22. For the next half a month, because of Lu Huanzhou's deliberate harassment, and sure you wanted to gain his trust, he couldn't help me. My resources have been lost a lot again. Fortunately, a director I had worked with before, who appreciated my acting, gave me a role as the third female lead. The role isn't too big, and it can be wrapped up in a month. It's exactly the type I'm interested in. A month is enough. I comforted my agent, who looked very discouraged. After a month, some things will become clear. After joining the set, I was busy with filming, and I started messaging Shiyu less frequently. He was very lonely, staying at home alone. He sent me a video in the middle of the night. I only watched for 10 seconds before turning it off, blushing, and sending him a message. Shiryu, are you a pervert? I am. What's it to you? Enin, would you like a pervert? That afternoon, he finally sent me a message. The final stage of the net is about to be cast. It's almost over, Enin. I put my phone away and looked at the breathtaking resort mountain scenery. This was the last filming location in my group, but I didn't expect that 10 Dreams, 9 Piece would also film here. While I was changing clothes, I happened to bump into Lin Bailu in a flowing white robe and Lu Huanzhou, who had come to visit her, near the waterfall. Lu Shuin. I had originally wanted to pretend I hadn't seen it, but I was stopped by Lu Huanzhou. I have given you many chances, but you have never shown any remorse. He twisted the Buddhist prayer beads in his hand, looking at me with that annoyingly compassionate and cold expression. From now on, whatever your fate is, it will be your own doing. I stopped in my tracks and turned back to look at him. Suddenly laughing, yes, Lu Huanzhou, whatever your fate is, it will be your own doing. Remember that. 23. Back at the set, I finished my last scene and successfully wrapped filming. After wrapping up, the director insisted on holding a farewell banquet for me. Out of courtesy, I drank a few more cups and became a bit dizzy, then went out to call my agent, let her send her assistant to pick me up. The phone was hung up, and I walked to the window at the end of the corridor to get some cold air to clear my head. My body was getting increasingly hot. It felt like fire was burning inside me, making my steps weak, and I had to lean against the wall. Memories from my past life suddenly came to my mind. It's him again, Lu Huanzhou. He's determined to kill me. Even if I was careful not to meet the people from my past life, he would still hire someone to drug me and have those people come after me. I used my trembling hand to take off the brooch, and the tip of the pin pierced my skin, drawing a bloody line. Intense pain gave me a moment of clarity, and I staggered toward the elevator. But as I passed the stairwell, I was pulled in by a suddenly extended hand. The scream about to escape was forcibly muffled by a large hand. Before my heart was devoured by immense despair and panic, I first smelled a familiar absinthe fragrance. My heart, which had been high in the air, seemed to drop down instantly. Shiryu. I collapsed in his arm, sobbing. Lu Huanzhou put poison in my drink. My voice was extremely hoarse, and it carried a seductive tone I couldn't even imagine myself having. The back of Shiryu's hand gently pressed against my cheek, cool like a rainstorm in a long drought desert. I know. He picked me up and carried me in his arms. So I'm here. Enin, Lu Huanzhou is done for. A dog in a corner will jump over the wall. I'm just afraid something will happen to you. He originally wanted to take me back, but the resort was far from the city. It would take at least 3 hours to drive back. So finally, Shiryu booked a suite on the top floor. As soon as we entered, I pulled his collar and rolled onto the soft long pile carpet with him. Brother, help me. I clumsily tried to bite his buttons. Shiryu raised his hand to block me. But I bit his fingertip. Take it easy, Onan. He didn't dodge. And even when bitten and bleeding, he didn't so much as flinch, just pulling my hair and placing soft, delicate kisses. It's just getting dark. We still have the whole night ahead of us. The window hadn't rained, but the moon seemed to melt, dripping into the clouds. In the end, every inch of my skin was covered in the scent of absinthe, gradually mixed with my own scent. In a certain moment, they merged and spread out. 24. The next morning, I woke up with a splitting headache. After a few seconds, my memory gradually returned. I just remembered how crazy I was last night. Even the parts of Shiyu's neck that couldn't be covered by his shirt had a blood-clotted tooth mark. He gently touched it with his fingertip and smiled at my apologetic look. I'm happy, Inin. Last night, I think I also dreamed about the past lives you mentioned. Leave a little more marks, so that we can prove I'm yours. It's better than your past life, where I loved you for so many years and no one in the world knew. My past life, I was the notorious villainous second female lead. He was the ruthless and crazy main villain. At that time, neither he nor I could have imagined it. We would have this day. Shiyu picked up the crumpled skirt from the ground and helped me put it on. When we walked out together, we bumped into Lu Huanzhou in the elevator. In front of him, Shiyu affectionately put his arm around my shoulder. I smiled at him. What's wrong? Buddha's disciple, are you about to face an investigation? It seems you've committed so many illegal acts that even the Buddha can't protect you anymore. Lu Huanzhou's gaze fixed on me, sharp enough to want to kill me on the spot. What's wrong? Did you find out that I wasn't taken to the basement by the people you sent? And are you disappointed? The elevator stopped on the first floor. Two uniformed law enforcement officers were standing at the door. They nodded politely at Lu Huanzhou, then put handcuffs on him. 25. I opened Weibo and found the names of Lu Huanzhou and Lin Bailu together on the hot search list. Unlike the previous divine couple, this time, 5 consecutive topics were all related to criminal offenses. Hashtag Lu Huanzhou money laundering. Hashtag Lu Huanzhou hiring killers. Hashtag Lin Bailu fake contracts. Hashtag Lin Bailu tax evasion. There's also a very sarcastic one. Hashtag the Buddhist insider of J City's elite circle has left the monastic life. Every comment below is full of talented people. No way, sir, even a Buddhist disciple is money laundering. Maybe the offering wasn't enough. At Lu Huanzhou, what money laundering? Why don't you go begging yourself? Useless thing. You have to shave your head to enter the orange. Oh no, now you really became a Buddhist disciple. I was holding my phone, laughing so hard I was falling over in the passenger seat. Soon, the production team of 10 Dreams, 9 Piece came out and issued a statement saying they would terminate the collaboration with Lin Bailu. My agent called me, his voice full of excitement. Shuin, the production team called. They were very humble, saying they invited you to join the shooting of 10 Dreams, 9 Piece as the female lead, and you can set your own conditions. There are companies that hadn't collaborated before, but they contacted me again. A day in the spotlight, a day in hell. This circle is just so realistic, but being in it, I've long been accustomed to its nature. At first, I thought Shiyu would be affected inevitably by working with Lu Huanzhou. Unexpectedly, it was his half-brother who was taken away for investigation together. You know, my family situation is very complicated. After my father passed away, she always wanted her son to inherit the family business. When I said these words, Shiyu and I were sitting by the window. He hugged me from behind, and his soft, delicate kisses fell on my shoulder. So, the 40 million for that project, he thought he was cutting me off, and invested it in his own name. Although this was a bit risky, it also solved 2 problems. Let's not talk about that, okay, Inin. His handsome and sharp eyes were tinged with a tempting red from desire. His tone also carried an enticing implication. Show me your hand, help me, okay. 26. After the official start of 10 Dreams, 9 Safety, Shiyu went back to the Lu family with me. Since Lu Zhuangzhou's incident, my father looked much older than before. After hearing my words that concealed a soft knife, he remained silent for a long time before asking, was this incident related to you? I smiled and said, Dad, you got it wrong. My brother died when he was 18, before he went to Nangui Temple. You, disobedient daughter. He slammed the table and coughed violently from anger. This time, my mother, who was usually quiet, spoke up for the first time. Anyway, my son is already in. Do you want to send my daughter in too? I only have 2 children. You won't let your outside bastard inherit anything from our family. Shiryu stood lazily aside and added at the right moment, Uncle should clearly know my character. Now that this mess of the Lu family is here, if you hand over everything to Inin, I might be interested in getting involved in this matter. My father finally realized that his authority, which he had never questioned for half his life, now, he was at a loss. 37% of the shares in the Liu family were quickly transferred to me, plus the 5% I already had and the 10% my mother had. I was undoubtedly the new power holder of the Liu group. I've been watching Liu Huanzhou handle things since childhood. These tasks are not too unfamiliar to me. I just have been busy with the filming of 10 Dreams, 9 Piece. So I inevitably have to ask Shiyu for help. He proactively brought over a lawyer and signed a management agreement. The procedures that need to be followed still have to be followed. I must make sure my wife is at ease. He smiled and came closer, rubbing his cheek against mine. Kiss me, wife. I'm going to help you with your work. That afternoon, after the filming ended, the sky had already turned dark. I wrapped myself in a windbreaker, holding a hot water bag, and got into the minivan. The filming location was in the suburbs, and we were heading home. A black car suddenly shot out from the side, the car lights flashed, and the next second, I saw Liu Huanzhou's face in the driver's seat. In just a short month, he had lost a lot of weight, had a scruffy beard, and looked terrifying. With a look of deep hatred in his eyes, he slammed the accelerator and charged towards me. Brother, I instinctively screamed. At such a close distance. Liu Huanzhou's expression suddenly changed in an instant. He looked at me with the cold yet gentle gaze I had seen countless times before when I was 18. He opened his mouth, but said silently, "Enin, you did well." The next second, the assistant suddenly hit the brakes. A sharp sound of tires scraping the road came from the window. Then there was a loud bang. I realized it, and stumbled out of the car. The black sedan had crashed into the flower bed by the roadside. And the front of the car was completely deformed. A bent metal railing pierced the front window of the car and stuck straight into his chest. 27. When spring came, Shiyu proposed to me. There was no grand scene, just in the top floor of the Lusher building, in my office. He closed the file and walked to me, slightly lowering his head. I thought he was going to ask for a kiss, and subconsciously tilted my head up. The next second, he knelt down in front of me. Because the ring was personally designed and polished by me, it took some time to make, otherwise it could have been done last winter. He smiled, looking at me with a tender gaze. After all, it's something I've been thinking about every day since I was 17. Yonko, marry me, okay. His eyes were sparkling, like sunlight reflecting on a clear lake. I curved my lips slightly, extending my hand. Okay. The next month, 10 Dreams, 9 Piece was released. It grossed 3.7 billion yuan in a month. The film was sent to participate in an exhibition and won several prestigious domestic and international awards. The day I picked up the Best Actress trophy, I sincerely thanked Shiyu and my brother on stage. It's my older brother, not that neurotic, the Buddhist insider of J-City's elite circle. After the award ceremony, a reporter came over for an interview. Mr. Liu, may I ask, is your brother the comatose vegetable man in the hospital? Liu Huanzhou, of course. It is said that he and Lin Bailu were involved in an economic crime case. Lin Bailu has been sentenced to 7 years in prison, and once he wakes up, he will also face legal punishment. I remained silent for a moment and said calmly, punishing him by law is to ensure the fairness of the law. I thank him because he, as my older brother, once again protected me. This doesn't conflict. The interview ended, and I, holding the hem of my evening dress, got into the new Rolls-Royce that Shiyu bought. I'm so cold. Shiyu, hold me. He wrapped me in his long coat like a cocoon, holding my cold hands. Okay. A scorching kiss landed on my skin that wasn't covered by the evening dress, exchanging temperature and igniting a series of flames. The space inside the car wasn't small, but it gradually became extremely crowded between our movements. In the end, I begged for mercy with a trembling voice. So hot, brother. Shiyu's hot breath was against my ear, getting more and more scorching. Brother is also so hot. Come on, Enin, help me cool down. I had been making a lot of noise in the car, and after getting home, I kept pestering Shiyu all night. He noticed I was in a bad mood and indulged me no matter what. In the end, I had no strength left. My fingers were weak as I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Suddenly, I said, do you think my brother will wake up again, or? Maybe the one who wakes up is not him, but that monk. Shiyu sighed and pulled me close, hugging me and kissing me repeatedly. Don't think too much. If it's still that idiot, then he deserves to be in prison. If it's Liu Huanzhou, he wouldn't blame you. Even be grateful to yourself, because you saved yourself. Enin, 28. The next day, I went to the hospital with Shiyu to visit Liu Huanzhou. He was lying there with tubes and a ventilator for half a year already. I was holding my trophy and the recent contract signed with Liu's company. I chatted and chattered to him for a long time. In the end, I showed him the ring on my finger. Brother, I'm about to get married to Shiyu, and the wedding date is probably set for March next year. I really hope that you can come to the wedding then." Lu Huanzhou was lying in the hospital bed with his eyes closed, saying nothing. I stood up and said, "Sure you, let's go." We walked side by side to the door, about to open it. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind, weak, extremely hoarse. "Enin." I turned around quickly. Cherry blossom petals were swirling outside the window, and one of them danced with the flowing sheer curtain and drifted into the room. Lu Huanzhou was lying in the hospital bed, looking at me with such softness and approval. "You saved yourself, Enin, you're really remarkable." End of text. In his 3rd year in prison, Lu Huanzhou received a second reduced sentence, extra chapter. He would be released in half a year. That morning, Lu Xuyin brought Shiyu to visit him. Through the thick glass window, her eyes were a bit red, but she smiled and asked him, "Today is my birthday, do you still remember?" Lu Huanzhou nodded. After thinking for a moment, he said to Shiyu beside him, "Enin doesn't like cake, take her to eat Cantonese cuisine," Shiyu said with a bad mood. "I have been married to Enin for 3 years, I know that better than you do." Lu Huanzhou tugged at the corner of his lips, revealing a smile. "Enin has been my sister for 26 years. Shiyu's gaze fell on his thin face, the usual sarcastic words stuck in his throat, and he couldn't say anything. Finally, he pressed his dry eyes and spoke casually, "Humph. In any case, stay good in there, we'll come to pick you up in 6 months." Lu Huanzhou said okay. Then watched him walking out with Lu Xuyin's hand. After 3 years of marriage, their relationship became better every day. Lu Huanzhou was relieved that during the time he was controlled by that unfamiliar system, at least, Enin had a Shiryu by her side, no matter past lives. "It's like this." Yes, he lied. In Lu Huanzhou's current memory, Enin has been his sister for more than 26 years. The moment the bent iron railing pierced his chest, he remembered everything from his past life. The year she was born, Lu Huanzhou was 3 years old. Before he could fully understand the meaning of the word sister, he saw a red, wrinkled baby. She had her eyes tightly closed, and her head's soft hair was still damp. His mother was lying in bed, looking weak, and asked him, "Does Xiao Zhou like his sister?" Lu Huanzhou gave an honest answer, "My younger sister, she's a bit ugly." Later, as they grew up, this incident was always brought up to tease Lu Xuyin. "Your brother's first impression of you was that you were ugly." She didn't get angry, but just raised her chin. "That's because I was born too late. Otherwise, if he saw me when he was born, he would also think he was ugly." That's what she said. But the next day, she still used the excuse, "You used to call me ugly." That's really unfair. To take Lu Huanzhou's monthly allowance, Lu Huanzhou loved his younger sister very, very much. He knew she was naive, spoiled, a bit simple, and only interested in things she liked. He never thought this was a big deal. After all, not everyone in this world can be naturally talented and decisive. As long as he is alive, Lu Jia's property will always be half hers. No one will be able to bully her. But Lu Huanzhou found himself wrong. 3 days before his 18th birthday, one night, a strange mechanical voice unexpectedly rang in his mind. That voice told him that the sister he had cherished and spoiled for 15 years, Lu Xuyin, was a bad person. He will meet a classmate who once was bullied and isolated by his sister, and fall in love with her at first sight. Then, let Lu Xuyin pay the price she deserves. Lu Huanzhou found it absurd and ridiculous. In this family, his father is rigid and traditional, and his mother is silent and reserved. Lu Huanzhou understood his younger sister more than anyone else. He even remembered that in her 14th year, she had fought with several delinquents and ended up with bruises all over her face to help a poor student who was being extorted. How could she bully her classmates? That voice had been repeating in his mind for 3 years, and Lu Huanzhou didn't believe a single word of it. Then, on his birthday, he opened his eyes, still thinking about last night when Lu Xuyin had secretly knocked on his door, saying she had prepared a special gift for him, thinking about his most beloved younger sister. Lu Huanzhou instinctively wanted to smile gently, but his lips didn't even move. Then he realized that he had lost control of his body. On his 18th birthday, an unfamiliar consciousness, created by that so-called system, took over his body. His soul and thoughts did not dissipate, but he was trapped within his body. He watched helplessly as he went to Nangue Temple. When he returned, he inexplicably had a string of prayer beads around his wrist. That consciousness introduced itself as the Buddhist insider of J City's elite circle, and when facing Lu Xuyin, it looked cold to the extreme. He said, "Stay away from me." Lu Xuyin held the gift box, standing in confusion at the spot. For the next 7 years, she never once felt the intimacy Lu Huanzhou had shown before he was 18. Lu Huanzhou watched helplessly as he became unrecognizable and unfeeling. Watching Shiryu and himself break up, watching Lu Shuyin get into the film academy, enter the entertainment industry, and almost become strangers to him. Then, in his 25th year, the so-called original female lead, Lin Bailu, appeared. She was wearing a long, plain-colored cheongsam, like a tender new willow branch, standing before him, stubbornly looking up. Mr. Liu, even if you can cover the sky with one hand, you can't really disregard fairness and justice. For Lu Huanzhou, such methods could even be considered clumsy. Yet the unfamiliar consciousness that had taken over his body actually seemed to have developed some interest in Lin Bailu because of these words. He watched them get closer and closer. He watched Lin Bailu go to the Lu family, pointing at Lu Shuyin and accusing her of bullying herself. He watched Lu Shuyin scream and cry as her hair was shaved off, and she was stripped of all resources and opportunities in almost brutal ways, watching her being drugged in the drink, and taken away in front of him. Just like the 7 years of disintegration before, he could only watch, unable to do anything. At the moment their hazy and desperate eyes met, that consciousness coldly spoke, "You were born a bad seed, this is what you deserve." Lu Huanzhou felt a pain that penetrated his bones, rising from the depths of his heart bit by bit. On the day he learned of Yin Yin's death, he almost went mad, questioning the system. Why? The system said, "This is the plot readers like to see. If you don't follow the character setup, I can only have someone replace you." It was too absurd. This is his life. In his life, so-called love has never been significant. Nothing is more important to him than Onan, that is his younger sister, his sister who he has watched grow from birth. Perhaps it was his excessive anger that influenced someone higher up. The person asked him, "Do you want to do it all over again?" "But not you, your sister. As a price, no matter what the final outcome is, you will be the one punished." If that unfamiliar consciousness wins again, his soul will completely vanish from this world. If Onan wins, his soul will return to his body, but he will still have to pay the price for his previous actions. That voice asked him, "How about it? Want to take a gamble?" "Why not?" Lu Huanzhou showed no expression. "No matter what, it's better than this." How could he allow Inin to die with such a reputation that everyone despised? While the two main culprits remained unscathed, even being loved by thousands of people, fortunately, he won the bet. The day Lu Huanzhou was released from prison, sure you came to pick him up in a car. A group of reporters were blocking the entrance, waiting to interview him. The former top executive of Lu's company, now fallen from grace. "There's something going on at the company." Inin went to handle it. Getting into the car, Shiyu said, "We'll go home directly, she'll be back soon." Lu Huanzhou softly replied, "Okay." The silent air was flowing in the car. After driving for a while, Shiyu suddenly asked, "Do you know that I will help her?" Lu Huanzhou was stunned, and didn't deny it. "Yes, you're so smart. If it really exists, how could you not guess?" Shiyu gave a self-mocking smile. "In my past life, I wasn't very smart. I should have acted earlier. Otherwise, I wouldn't have sacrificed myself and not even saved one." Lu Huanzhou remained silent. A familiar voice, filled with tears, rang out. "I didn't let Inin start over again, but perhaps I was hoping she could turn to Shiyu for help. I should apologize to you." Lu Huanzhou said in a low voice, "When you said you liked Inin, I always thought it was too young. Some words just for fun, not to be taken seriously." Unexpectedly, Shiyu had loved her for many years without anyone in the world knowing. "No need to apologize," Shiyu said. "I should also thank you, otherwise, I wouldn't have this day with Inin." Neither of them said another word. The car drove forward, passing by streetlights, through clusters of flowers, stopped in front of a villa surrounded by rose walls. Shiyu unfastened his seatbelt, turning around with a bit of pride. Inin has now moved behind the scenes and is known in the industry as a top-tier investor. She won't easily act unless she's very interested in a script. Lu Huanzhou looked into his eyes and said, "You've taken good care of her." Shiyu nodded. "So you also need to get better, or she won't be at ease." They got out of the car. From a distance, Lu Shuyin was standing at the door, her eyes sparkling with tears. Lu Huanzhou thought back to the day he woke up in the hospital. The police soon found out the news and came to the hospital to take him to prison. Lu Shuyin still acted like a child, crying and throwing herself into his arms, asking him, "Bro, are you angry with me?" Lu Huanzhou gently smiled. Of course not. In his heart, a brother who failed to protect his sister should pay such a price.